In this video, we are going to look over a new product from Delta Media Group called Delta Pitch. Now this primarily is a CMA builder and ultimately will be developed into a presentation builder. So it doesn't have to be a CMA. At the end of the day, this just takes multiple pages from a template. It can populate it with the agent branding information, or it can populate it with listing information and generate a presentation out of it that can then be distributed out in any way that you see fit. Basically, it will generate a PDF that you can then print out, or you can email a link to that PDF to people, and it can also generate a flipbook that can be used to display the presentation as well. So, first off, to get to Delta Pitch, we're going to go over here to Marketing and click on Delta Pitch. Now, keep in mind that this navigation over here can be customizable per company, as well as the tiles that appear on any pages. So, for example, if I were to click on Marketing, I would have a series of tiles along the top. Those things are customizable. So if you don't see Delta Pitch or don't see a link to Delta Pitch there, you can always try typing Delta Pitch up here into the search bar at the top, and you should get a result there as well. So the quick actions will allow you to essentially get to any page in the DeltaNet just by typing the name or a keyword for it up here. So once you found your way to the Delta Pitch main page, we'll just run through how this page functions and take a look at it here. So we have first an address search functionality, which is going to typically be the way that you use this report or this CMA builder functionality. So you just type an address in here, and you'll see that an autocompleter comes up as you type. So then you just select the address from the list when you find a match, and you hit Create CMA, and then it will build your CMA for you. Now, in addition to that, I can click here to search by MLS ID, and I could type in an MLS ID for some property that used to be on the market. If I did that and searched, it can find that property if we have data for it in our archives, and it can use the additional property data that we have for that in order to populate the CMA. Whereas with you just using an address, we're essentially just using public record in order to find whatever information we can about that property, which is usually pretty limited, just beds, baths, square feet sometimes, that kind of thing. The next thing you would do here is you would enter a name that you want for the customer you'd like to send the CMA to or attach this CMA to. If they already have an account in your DeltaNet, you can see it comes up as an autocompleter, and you can just select it, and then that ties the CMA to that person. Now the benefit of doing that is that if that person comes to your website and they log into their portfolio account, they'll be able to go to a page on the public website and see all the CMAs that have been created for them. And then they can view the flipbook or view the PDF from there. Also, if you go to that customer's profile page, you'll be able to see all the CMAs that you have set up for that customer that are tied to that customer, so that you can pull them back up, or you can even edit them. If, for example, you wanted to create a second CMA for that customer for the same property, you can update it with updated comp data, things like that. If you'd like to set up a CMA for a customer that is not in your database, you can click Add New Customer, and you can see it brings up the standard Add Customer form, where you can enter their information, first name, last name, and email at the very least, but always enter as much information as you have. The more you have there, the better. And then if you go down here at the bottom and click Save and View Profile, it would actually take you to that customer's profile page, thereby taking you out of Delta Pitch. If you just hit Save and Close, it will take that customer account and it will add it to this line automatically, so you'll be set to go there. Now as we move our way down, we next have CMA drafts. So every time you create a CMA, it's essentially saved as a draft. And then when you save it, and we'll take a look at that when we get to the save functionality, but you can also save it as a draft. So if you start a CMA and you're not ready to distribute it to the customer yet, you're not really finished with it, you can just save it as a draft, and you can come back here and click on it and pull it up at a later time. And it'll have all the same data, all the same listing data mapped to it and everything as it did when you saved it. Next we have completed CMAs. So these are all the CMAs that you have done and actually saved as a completed CMA at that point. So you can pull those back up if you want to redo those or make any changes for any reason on those. And then next you have your templates to choose from. You can see this account doesn't have any templates. This is an interface that shows you all of the templates that you have saved specific to you. So the idea is if I were to create a new CMA and I were to reorder some pages or add some different pages to it, or maybe upload some PDFs that I want to add to pages in that report, I can then save that as a template so I can go back and pull it up later on. Now this tab doesn't allow you to actually pull up the template, because essentially the way that works is it needs to have listing data in order to be able to populate the comps and the listing and the branding data and everything attached to it. So here it would just list out all of the templates that you've saved, and then you have the ability to delete those templates if you want, so that you can clean up that list if you ever need to. Now everything that is saved as a template to use, so any template you've made yourself, or any template the company has made, or any template available to you that Delta has made, so we make a few system templates that are available to everyone, all of those templates are available under this settings toggle. So if I click this button, or really a cog instead of a toggle, but you can see when I click that, it brings up our CMA templates. Now these are the standard system templates that you can choose from, that everyone can choose from the beginning. And as we scroll right, you can see all the templates that the company has created, all of the templates, we have a lot of test templates in here, but all the templates that the company has created and any template that you've created and saved yourself are all in here as well. The important part of this is that if we go back over here to the beginning, whatever template you have selected here is going to be your default template. So that means that any CMA that's generated automatically by some automation would use that template, and you can change the template later on if you need to. Or whenever you create a new CMA, that's the template it will start with. So for example, if I want to start with template 3, I'll just select that one and save it. And now the next time I create a CMA, that's the template that'll be used by default. So let's close this out and let's make a CMA. So we're going to search by address. We'll put our property address in here. There we are. We will type in a customer name. There we go. So here's a customer that exists in the system, so I can just select them from the autocompleter. And now we'll click Create CMA. There we are. So we'll give the system a moment to think about it here. You can see it will generate the presentation for me. And once this is fully generated, I'll be looking at my completed CMA. So at this point, this is the CMA. Now it should be populated with your company colors. So our company colors here are blue in our test company here. So that's why it loads these up as blue. But it should pick up your company colors, company primary and secondary colors. And you should be able to see that on the report. So at this point, we're looking at our full completed CMA, complete with comps. So as I scroll down the list here, you can see these are all our CMA pages. Stock content is built in. And as we scroll down the line, you can see that it pulled a photo of my subject property, so your listing. It pulled the photo of my subject property from Google Maps, so this is a Google Street View image. And as we scroll down here, you can see that it has pre-selected some comps for me and automatically populated these comps pages. So if I want to go with these comps, if I don't want to customize this at all, if this is good, I could send the CMA just as it is right now, and it's really a complete CMA. Now as we scroll up a bit, we'll kind of run through what we can do on each of these pages. So if we click these 3 dots on any page, you can see we have the option to reorder the pages. Now because I'm on a desktop device, I can actually just click and drag to reorder the pages if I want. However, if I was on a mobile device, clicking and dragging isn't exactly convenient. So I can click here and click on reorder page, and I can select a new page position and save it, and you can see that will move the pages for me as well. So if I were on a mobile device, and this does all function on mobile, so if I were using a phone here, this would all be reformatted in such a way that it's easy to work with on a phone. I could just select from that drop down and easily move pages that way. Now the next thing I can do is I can edit these pages. Now the way this works is when I edit a page, it shows me this piece where I can see all of the fields that are mapped on that particular page. So here we are, there's listing address is mapped on this page. If I change this here, it will change how my listing address or how my subject property address is displayed on this page, but it's also updating a variable. So everywhere that's using that same mapped field will also be updated throughout the report. So a better example of that, if I go over here to my price recommendation page and edit, you can see we have an agent display name. If I were to change this display name, there we go, and save it, it's going to update not just on this page, but it's going to update on every page that references that particular variable. So we'll let our report reload here now that we've made our change, and you can see it's changed there, but it's also going to change everywhere that that agent display name is used. So that works on any of these pages that have some editable content mapped on them. That includes an intro paragraph. So if there's a page that has an introductory paragraph mapped, then I would have the ability to change that. This one, turns out it just has the slogan mapped, so I could change that slogan and that would change in the report. But any report that is using a mapped field for an introduction or a welcome paragraph, you have the ability to edit those as well. So you would just click on that same edit functionality and you would get a box that allows you to change what the content is for that particular paragraph. In addition to that, you can select whatever your changes as the default from that point forward. So if I were to change a welcome paragraph and select that default checkbox, then every report I generate that has that same field mapped in the future would use that same paragraph. So if I change my introduction paragraph to one that's specific to me, which I should, um, what it will do is use my updated version of that on every template going forward when I create a new CMA or when I load up one of those templates. That way I don't have to change it every single time I go in and modify, or really every time I go in and create a CMA using different templates. The next kind of special functionality here is if we go to the testimonials page, you can see if I edit this, these are special testimonial fields. So instead of entering these in manually, just typing them out, I can select from all the testimonials that I have saved in the system. So just to keep it simple, I could switch to that one there, and save it. And it's going to rebuild my report, but with those those testimonials selected from my testimonial system. So it's just a very easy way that I can go in and I can customize which testimonials are used. Now by default, it is already using my testimonials. So it's not, this isn't just stock content, it actually is testimonials I've received, or in this case, Franklin's received, because that's the test account we're using. But what it's using are the most recent testimonials by default. So this functionality allows me to go in, and if I don't want to use the most recents, if I have some particular testimonials I'd like to use, or if just on the particular template I'm using, the content of the testimonial is too big to fit in the box, then I have a way that I can go in and I can switch those to different testimonials. So we'll go ahead and run down the line here. Now what you'll notice is there are also pages that are attached to listing data. So in this case, this is my subject property data. If I click here and edit this page, you can see that I can edit all of my subject property data. But I can also edit that in another place, and we'll get to that here in a minute as well. Now when it comes to the comps pages, these pages are populated by the comps that I've selected. So the system's automatically generating these. So the way that I change them is not individually on the page, but rather by going to my comp selection page and selecting different comps, and then that will automatically populate these pages accordingly. And it will even choose the correct number of pages if I go in and do this. So that way it just makes it easier for me to go in and select comps and just have them automatically populate the template the way they need to. So now I'll head back up to the top here. The next thing I can do is I can change templates. Now the nice thing about this is if I have made changes to my report, so any of the report data like the subject property address, or I've changed the variable used for the display name, or if I've selected comps already, when I change templates, that information is retained. So when I click on Change Template, if I had any templates saved of my own that were specific to me, there would be a Mine tab here, and I would see all of my templates under that one. I see all the company templates under the Company tab, so these are ones that the company has created or customized that are available to me. And if I go over to System, these are the system templates. So we'll go ahead and click on this one. Now it's going to load our template up, and it will have all of that data that I've already customized or made changes to in the first one. And you can see again, customized with the company colors, it's automatically picked those up, and it's automatically picked up my comps and loaded those on the appropriate pages and set up my subject listing or my subject property page. Now next I have the ability to add pages. So if I click on my add page toggle here, you can see again this is broken down in exactly the same way as the template selection modal. So in this case, I'm looking at pages as the only difference. So this is basically every page from any of the templates that are in the system. So anytime you save a template, all of those pages within that template are available individually here and can be added to any report. So likewise, we've got company, and then if I switch over to system, this is the same thing but with all of the pages within all of the system templates. So right now, I'm using template 1, for example. If I go down here and say I like this page from template 3, I can just click on that, and it will generate a new presentation. There we go. And if we go down to the bottom, we'll see that there's my page there at the end. And then I can reorder that however I see fit. Now if I want to delete that page or any other page, I also have an option there. So we'll just delete that one, and now that page is gone. Simple as that. Now the next thing we can do in special functionality for adding pages is I do have the ability to scroll down a bit here, and I have an upload PDF option. So this actually allows me to select a PDF on my computer, and the system will flatten that PDF down into images and create pages out of it. So if I use this upload PDF, it will work with multiple page PDFs also. So if I have a single page PDF, it will load that in as one new page in my report. But if I had, for example, a 10-page PDF, it would upload that and it would make all 10 pages from my PDF individual pages on this report as well. Now the next thing I can do is I can customize the data that's used on this report from this this page that comes up here as well. This also allows me to customize the details of the property data itself for my subject property, as well as the valuation or the market data attached to this report. So if I click on Customize Report Data, it loads up this page where I have the basic information for my subject property, so I can customize all of that here. If I have an alternative photo to use instead of the one that was pulled from Google Street View, I can add a new photo here. So if I do have an actual photo I took of the property or that the owner took, or anything else really, I can add that file here. I would just click Add File, select the file from my computer, and click Start Upload, and that would upload a new photo to use for that subject property page. I can go to the Location tab, and I can customize all the location details. One thing of note here is you can see that it's kind of indicating to me the formatting that it's expecting for these. The reason that's important is that when the report templates were designed, they were often designed to display the address and city in this specific way. So you want to match that format when you change out what that variable actually is. It's just something to be mindful of as you make changes here. But at the end of the day, the best way to handle it is just make your changes and then look over the report pages to make sure they look the way you want them to. Now next we go to CMA information. This is automated estimate information, or automated AVM information that we have pulled in and tied to this particular report or this particular subject property. So I can customize all of that, and that will show up on the report accordingly. Right here is where the report owner's name is defined. This is just a second place that defines what customer account I have this particular report attached to. So I could change that here as well. And this is where the CMA introduction paragraph, welcome paragraph, and even the testimonials intro paragraph can all be defined as well. So in addition to being able to click edit on the individual page, making changes there, and even saving my changes as a default, I can do them here as well. So it's just a convenient second place where I can go in and I can make changes to these paragraphs to make them more specific to me. And then if I check this Save as Default box, whatever I change this to is what's going to stay there, so that every time I load up a report in the future, it's going to stick with that same paragraph. And then lastly, we have the market stats page, and this is where I can adjust the specifics of any market stats that are shown on my report or on my CMA. Now, whether or not these are shown and where they're shown is going to depend on the template itself, but if it is showing this data, this is where I can customize it. So if I click Continue, that will save my changes there, which I don't think I made any, but why not? So it saves those and it rebuilds the report here. There we are. And now the next thing I can do is I can customize the comps on my report. So if I click on Customize Comps, it loads up our comp selection page. Now the way this works is it takes the subject property data and it basically looks for some criteria within a range of that subject property data. So for example, if I used a listing that was 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and we had the public record data pulled in to recognize that, then what the system will do is it will automatically set this kind of criteria to try and find reasonable comps. However, if that's not right, if it doesn't choose the comps appropriately, you do have the ability to go in here and change the search criteria however you'd like. So you can see we have quite a few listings here. By default, the location is a 10-mile radius, but I can change that by either typing in a new location name here and selecting from the autocompleter. That can handle city names, school districts, subdivisions, really anything that the public property search can handle. But also I can define that by map area over here. So if I zoom in a little bit on my map, we'll scroll down some. I can draw a polygon on this map. There we go. And that will limit it to listings that are only within that polygon. Now I can do the same thing with a radius. This button brings up a little radius toggle, and that allows me to draw a circle on the map as well. So just a convenient way to draw a radius, especially if I wanted a radius around the subject property. I could just pin that on the subject property and extend it out, and that would basically set a new radius for listings I'm interested in adding to the report. Now down here we also have a key that shows you what each of these different colors means. The ones with the dot are ones that are already included on my report. The ones without a dot are not. So this gives you information about exactly what each of these means. So the red dots are sold, blues are active, and so on. Now you can see as I click on these, it narrows down my list over here to just that property. Now if I want to see them all again, I can just click Show All. But for now, we'll click on this red one here. Let's say this is a sold property we want to add. I'll just click on Include, and now it's included. We'll click on this pending one here. We'll include that one. Now what include means is that it will include that property on a list page on the report. So the pages that we saw already that had a list of those. So 3 or 4 properties on a single page. But I could also feature this property. And by doing that, it's going to generate a page for the report that is specific to this property. So it just allows me to further highlight some specific properties if I choose to. And I don't have to do both. If I don't check this include box in just the featured box, that means it won't be included on the list page. It'll just have a featured page. So go ahead and cancel that out. Now we've added a few more here. I'll go ahead and add another one. Why not? There we go. So now we have all of our properties chosen, and we'll click on Continue. And this will regenerate our report with the additional pages necessary to support the comps that I've selected on the comp selection page. There we are. So our report's loaded up. First, you'll notice that it does have more pages on it. So if we scroll down here, you can see I now have additional comps pages. Now these pages can support 3 spots, so they have 3 places where the comps can show up. But because I only selected one additional sold, for example, it only populates the one spot. So it's only going to populate these with the listings that I've chosen. So if you wanted all of the pages to be filled out on this particular template, you would just have to select your comps in multiples of 3 based on the type they are. So solds, pendings, or active listings in multiples of 3. But there we are. Now you can see it also added the featured pages down here to the bottom. Now by default it adds those to the end of the report, but again you can change the order on those however you'd like. So we'll go up here, and this was our last page. If we want to keep it that way, reorder page, and we'll just put it to the end and save it. And now that page is out at the end. So now we'll head back up to the top of our report. So now we have built out our report, we've customized all of our information, we've customized our comps, and this is the report we want. So now I'll click on Save. And from here, I can give this report a specific name if I'd like. So by default, it's just named for the property address of the subject listing, or the subject property rather. But I can make that whatever I'd like. Now I have options to save this as a new CMA report, which would put it under completed CMAs. I can override the current CMA report. So in this case, that's not really going to do anything because this is a brand new CMA. But if I had chosen another CMA, or if I'd started off of a already completed CMA, I could either save this and override the current one, or overwrite it, or I could save it as a brand new CMA. It just depends on what I want to do and how many I want to kind of keep a history of there. Next, I can save it as a draft if I don't feel like I'm quite finished with this one, or I can save it as a template. And saving it as a template, if I had made customizations to the order of the pages or the number of pages, or I'd added pages from other reports or a PDF, I could save this as a template so that I could pull this up later on with different property data tied to a different customer, and it would still use the template that has all those pages added to it. Now from here I have options to send the flipbook and or send the PDF to the customer that I have tied to this report when I save it. If I had not tied a customer to this report, these options wouldn't be here. But I would also still be able to add a customer to this even after looking at and setting up the CMA. There would be a button right here, and we'll go ahead and close this out. There'd be a button right here where it displays the customer name now that allows me to attach a customer to this report. So we'll go back into Save. I'm not going to send these now, but if I wanted to, when I clicked Save, it would send an email to the customer that has links to the flipbook and the PDF. So the next piece I can do here is I can click on View PDF, and you can see it opens a new tab. And we'll go back here, and I can click on View Flipbook, and it does the same. It opens up a new flipbook here. Now it takes a little time to load the report up, but while it's loading, if I wanted to virtually present this to my customer, I could click on Present, and then let's say I have a Zoom account and I want to share it through Zoom. I could click on Zoom. This takes me to Zoom where I can start up my presentation, and then I could switch over to my flipbook, and my flipbook's ready to go. And then I could just share this particular browser tab or share my screen, and I could present this to my customer. You can see the additional options we have here. So if you have a Teams account, Hangouts, Skype, Screen, or Google Meet, those all work in essentially the same way. Click on any of those and it will open them up in a new tab, and at that point I can start up my presentation, and then I can just switch to my browser tab with the report, and I can present it however I'd like. So we'll go ahead and save this report. I'll take a look over here also. You can see our PDF is generated, so now we have a full PDF of this report as well. And this I can save to my computer, so depending on what browser you're using, you may have a save button right up here. So I can save this and send it to them as a file attachment. I can print it out from my own machine, or I could even save this to something like a flash drive and take it to a print shop or email it to a print shop. So anything you can do with a PDF. So now we'll move back over here, close out our Zoom window. So now that I've created this report and I've saved it, if I click on the customer's name here, it's going to open up a new tab. Again, it is a new tab, so I can go back to my CMA tab if I'd like. But in this new tab, I have this customer's profile page. And now if I scroll down here to the bottom, or near the bottom, there we are, you can see we have our AVM section and we have a CMAs tab. So if I click on CMAs, these are all of the CMAs that have been created and tied to this customer. So from here, I can very quickly and easily click on Flipbook or PDF to load those flipbooks and PDFs up. Again, they'll load up in a new tab. Or I can click Edit, and that will take me back into Delta Pitch with this CMA loaded up for me, so I can make additional changes to it, maybe load it up with updated comps, and send that back out to the customer if I'd like. So there you have it. That is Delta Pitch, and that is how you can generate a CMA, customize data within the CMA, and customize the comps in that CMA. The other thing to point out in addition to this is that I do have the ability to use all of these features and all of this functionality on a mobile device as well. So I mentioned that the reason that you can reorder pages in multiple ways is to support mobile functionality, but everything in here will work well on mobile and format well for mobile. So basically what it will do is shrink everything down and reformat all of these pages so that it's all still very easy to work with on a mobile device, allowing me to very quickly just pull out my phone and generate a CMA right there on the fly for anyone I might be talking to. So that is Delta Pitch. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to our support department at support@deltagroup.com, or give us a call and our support team can help you out with Delta CMA, or Delta Pitch rather, or anything else that you would like.